Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Happiness from Within. I'm so excited to have you guys here today. I really want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. This episode does not happen without you guys. So today I had the amazing pleasure to sit down with Carly Bergman. Carly Bergman is a vegan, zero-waste advocate who has placed sustainability at the heart of her beliefs. Together with her boyfriend, Brendan, she founded Sustainable Duo, an amazing company that makes sustainability trendy and helps people connect and take care of the earth. Carly discovered the world of veganism and sustainability when she started working for a raw vegan juice bar at the age of 16. All the incredible insights that she gained from her coworkers influenced her immensely, and she decided to pursue a degree in permaculture and create sustainable and smart gardens. After meeting her boyfriend Brendan at a vegan festival, out of all places, the couple founded their first company, Sustainable Duo Zero Waste, which makes incredible sustainable products such as sustainable cutlery, straws, and other items which are usually plastic. Their mission is to connect people back with the earth, and this means first taking care of our planet. The couple then founded a second company called Plant Protein, which produces holistic protein bars which are not only vegan but also sustainable. Their products are now used by well-known athletes, actors, and celebrities such as Wilson Chandler. As a couple working together on improving the sustainability of our planet, their work improves others to do the same, including friends and family. But thanks to social media, their message is able to reach a huge audience, which in turn encourages others to take action on their lives. In this amazing journey of sustainability, they not only have learned the process of positivity from within, but also a way to make a huge impact on people and the planet. So I just really encourage you to sit back, relax, grab your favorite green smoothie, a cup of coffee or tea, and I'll catch you in the interview. Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Happiness from Within. I am so excited for today's guest. I have Carly Bergman, and her significant other could not be on the podcast today, but she's going to speak on his behalf. His name is Brendan Fitzgerald, and I have her on the line here. Hi, Carly.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm in sunny Florida, so no complaints. Just did a nice little beach walk to ground down, so I'm here. All prepped for this podcast.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was such a pleasure to meet you guys at that, what did we call it? The vegan event in Hollywood?
Yeah, it was a vegan, sustainable, entrepreneurial event. Yeah, in LA. It was a beautiful time. That was really fun with our friends Agnes and Johnny Juicer. You know, it was a really good talk. I think a lot of cool people came and walked away with some info.
Absolutely. I'm just really excited to bring my audience, your guys' amazing story and your guys' platform. So let's just go ahead and jump in. I'd love to start with you, just to tell, my audience, from what I was reading, you are from Chicago.
Yes.
And, but yeah, if you don't mind just, this very open podcast, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Chicago, did you grow up with your mom and dad? Just anything you'd like to share.
Absolutely. So I grew up, like you said, in Chicago, and a regular neighborhood, suburbs. I feel like I was very sheltered, grew up playing sports and, public high school, very typical, until I started working at a raw vegan organic juice bar. I was always into to health and fitness and whatnot growing up. And one day when I was 15 years old, this juice bar popped up in my neighborhood, and the second day it opened, I went there and I went to the owner and I was like, I need this job. And I looked at her and I was just so passionate, and I wasn't 16. So it was like, I don't know if she could really work here. And she was like, okay, she found some things for me to do. And I ended up working at this juice bar called Pure Juice Cafe for 6 years. And it's really always the beginning of my story that I tell, because had I not been accepted to work there, my life would be completely different. I mean, it really helped me dive into this lifestyle of veganism and sustainability. So I always have to shout out Paulina from Pure Juice Cafe for really giving me the experience and seeing that spark in me, So it's cool that someone could see that spark in your eye. I'm sure you've met people where you just know there's something about them that you want to be with them. And maybe that's why I'm on your podcast, So it's cool.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I met all of you guys there, I mean, it was just such a beautiful energy. I mean, you have a beautiful presence, just the way that you carry yourself, so it really says a lot about you. So thank you for that.
A lot of gratitude. And I think I really have to give it all to this lifestyle ever since transitioning to a vegan lifestyle. And not only that, I mean, when I worked at that cafe, I was kind of the minority in a sense because I was this young white female and I was working with immigrants and transgenders, drag queens, bisexuals, lesbians, whatever. So I kind of felt like I was just a sheltered girl, not really knowing what was in the world. And so I had all this insight from all these different types of people. And they really taught me about sustainability and plant-based living and what's really going on with the higher ups and stuff. So I think that's, I really am honored to have experienced that so young because that's really how I have my presence today, just gaining all this information and trying to spiral it into something positive because that's where, it's going to happen with that collective conscious shift.
Absolutely. I was also very intrigued. Can you talk a little bit about, you got a design certification in permaculture? Can you explain what that is? I don't think most people know what that is.
Yeah. So permaculture, in simplest forms, it's a intelligent garden. So basically, food forests are also sometimes, or permaculture is also sometimes a food forest. Basically, each plant is designed in this big garden, right? And you plant it strategically. For example, you plant bamboo on the northwest side to prevent the prevailing winds from getting to the mulberry tree, which is on the west side. And underneath the mulberry tree, there's a pigeon pea plant that feeds off the mulberries nitrogen. And so, it can kind of be confusing, but once you kind of get into the science and biology behind it, you really just plant everything strategically. So the point is you plant it all and then it grows and you don't have to touch it because everything is just connected and doing its own thing because all these plants are so smart. And if we work with them, they will do their own thing and nurture each other. It's a really closed loop cyclical environment. And so I love learning about the intelligence of plants and almost, I don't want to say the word manipulating them to work together because it sounds kind of harsh, but you know what I mean? Just being very, very smart about it. And it's so interesting because in Florida, there's a lot of permacultures. And like I said, they're edible forests. So I'll go to a food forest local to me and I'll forage some sapodilla, some jackfruit, some papaya, some mulberries, and all of these are really free. Like the food forests here are free. So I just get a ton of free groceries, which is great.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That is really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And if you can speak a little bit about Brendan, from what I was reading, he grew up playing soccer. Is that correct?
Yes, he did grow up playing soccer and he wanted to play soccer in college, but his senior year, he ended up not qualifying because of grades. And a little background on Brendan, he's from Flint, Michigan. So, for those who know Flint, Michigan, they know, he had a really hard upbringing, low income family, and Flint's not the best area to grow up in, the water crisis and everything, which is still going on. And he was just messing around too much and he lost his chance to be the first in his family to go to college. And so then right after that, he joined the Marines at 17 years old because he was like, okay, well, if I can't play soccer, I have no other plan because he knew, he didn't really want to go to college, just for grades. So he ended up joining the Marines for 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
An intense story. He's an intense guy. You met Brendan.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that. So what I'd like to do next is I'd love to jump into your guys' amazing company, the Sustainable Duo Zero Waste. It is really incredible, the platform that you guys have. There's just so much value to share. If you could just start, like, just, you know, how did you guys come up with the idea? Like, where did it all start? I know you guys met at, somewhere I read, you guys met at a vegan festival. Is that where you guys met?
Yeah,
That's
he
so
was
cute.
vending at a veg fest. Yeah, typical. So we met there. And then, yeah, we've been dating. We just had our 2-year in February. So we've been together for 2 years, and we've been doing the sustainable duo thing for a little short of 1 year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, really new.
So I'm just curious, just to get, you know, just a little bit deep, if you don't mind. So when you guys met, did you guys, like, were you in line? Did you guys kind of give the eye, or how did you, like?
Well, you know, first things first, I'm an open book. So there, you know, I was talking about everything. But so he was actually it's a funny story, because that morning I had gone on an edible plant walk through this preserve, and we were foraging like all this gotu kola and pine pollen and all this stuff. And it was pouring rain, typical Florida. And I was like, you know, I've been vegan for a couple of years. I've gone to these festivals. I know what they're about. Do I really need to go to this one? Because it was raining. And my friends were like, come on, let's go. I'm like, okay, whatever. So we ended up going, and that's where I saw Brendan, because he's like the bearded guy with blue eyes, and he was vending a vegan protein bar. I'm like, that's interesting. I really had never met a guy that was vegan at that point. Really. I mean, because veganism, like, it's kind of skyrocketed in the past 2 years. It really has.
Absolutely.
And so I just thought it was so interesting that he was living in the same city as me, and I had never seen him before, and he had this vegan protein company. So he caught my eye. I actually didn't say anything to him that day. And then we found each other later on social media, and I messaged, I will admit that I went on the Planet Protein Instagram, and I commented on one of the protein bar pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, I saw this at Veg Fest. This is so awesome that you're doing this. And then he messaged me about maybe like 15.2 seconds later. It was like, I remember you from the Veg Fest. Yeah. So then and then we actually, right after that, we decided to hang out. We went and saw live music and ate a raw vegan meal. And yeah, we hung out ever since then. So it's really funny how it worked out, but that's how we met.
That's really beautiful. No, thank you so much for sharing that, because every beautiful couple has their amazing story. You know, yeah. I love on your website, you know, you guys talk about how he mentioned, you know, he's like, I met my soulmate. So I just thought that's very beautiful.
Yeah. Brendan, he's a very special person, because he's very in tune. And, you know, he's not someone, I had him take an Enneagram personality test. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Enneagram test.
No, tell us what that is.
Oh, wow. It's this really short book that you read. And basically you take this quiz, and it tells you what personality you are. And so, I mean, it is really, I took a whole expanding consciousness course on this book when I was in college, and so I took the test, and I found out that I am a type 1. I think there's 9 personalities, and I was 1, and I'm a perfectionist. And at first, when I found that out, I was pissed. I was like, I am not a perfectionist. Are you serious? And then I started observing myself, and I was like, you know, I'm pissed that I'm a perfectionist, because I want myself to be perfect. And in my eyes, I know being a perfectionist is not my own idea of perfect, which is interesting. But, you know, it's really, so then you learn like how your personality, being a perfectionist, kind of intertwines with other personalities. And so Brendan, his personality is a loyal skeptic. So he kind of is a quiet guy, and he observes everything going on. And, you know, he doesn't really talk unless you speak to him, or unless he really has something powerful to say. So that course was cool, because I really got to understand my relationship with not only Brendan, but my relationship with my mother, who's a mediator, and my dad, who is like the funny guy. And it really helps you, like, if you're having a struggle with any relationship in your life, you can really tune into this book and kind of figure out what personality you are, what personality the other person is, and then really kind of synchronize those personalities so you both don't have this barrier, and you can kind of help each other with the struggles you have and intertwine and just come together, rather than like bicker at each other. So it really helped me heal a lot of relationships in my life. So very thankful for the Enneagram book.
What's the name of it again?
It's the ENNEAGRAM, Enneagram.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So for those of you that want to check that out.
Yeah, totally recommend.
Awesome. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into your guys' amazing company. Tell us about how that got started, how the idea came up, just anything you'd like to share.
So, one day we lived in Bonita Springs, Florida, and we were on our porch hanging out. We had a beautiful backyard. Our backyard, what happened was our landlord lived out in the house, and he lived on the top floor, and then we lived on the bottom, which was totally separated. And it was on this river with manatees and dolphins, and it was beautiful. And we were sitting back there earthing, typically, with drinking kombucha, and we'd just gotten really into our zero waste journey. And, we just kind of thought the whole point of me going zero waste, I had a really big breakthrough when I went to Nicaragua, and I noticed all of the trash in Nicaragua. And I realized that I talked to a local when I was there, and she was like, listen, yes, this is a lot of trash, and we burn our trash because they don't have a proper waste management system. So they're burning all their plastic. But she was like, listen, this isn't all from us. This gets washed up on our currents because of the way the currents go. And it's from the United States. It's from these other countries. So I was like,
wow.
Yeah, exactly. Here I am judging Nicaragua for not having a proper waste management system and how awful this is for their health. But it kind of gave me a bit of a slap in the face, Carly, here you are being this environmentalist, this vegan for the animals, the planet, whatever. But I just felt like a huge hypocrite because I was like, I know that in Florida, I am not being a conscious consumer, and I'm contributing to this. So I made it a goal for me to go back home and really figure out how to reduce my waste, because I didn't want my personal impact and my personal decisions have an impact on the women and men of Nicaragua. I just think that was really unfair. But, some of us just don't even know because it's really not advertised. It's not public. So it's a really, really important lesson for me.
Wow. That's really informational. Wow. So you guys have really amazing products. Like, for example, I remember when you guys came to the event, you guys were talking about you have this netted bag that you carry with you. And then I believe is it bamboo silverware? Can you just talk about some of those items? Because I know everybody's listening is going to be so fascinated, and then they're going to run to your website. They have to get this set. So
yeah, absolutely. So when I met Brendan, I was already transitioning to my zero waste lifestyle, and I was making all of these swaps. I stopped using traditional shampoo and conditioner, even though I used vegan, organic, essential oils, whatnot. But I really took it a step further to be package free. So I started buying bar shampoo made of hemp and coconut oil, and bar conditioner, bar soap. And there's all these amazing zero waste companies out there that create package free products. So Brenda and I were sitting on our porch and we were talking, and we're like, I thought of the name Sustainable Duo. I'm like, really, that's you and I. And it's not only Brendan and I, but I think of it more as people's relationship to the planet, because that's the real duo. That's the most important duo and relationship in your life. So my whole thing is, as far as zero waste goes, my real passion is edible landscaping, permaculture, and connecting people back to the earth. And I'm using zero waste living to get people there, because it's really one and the same. And so we decided that we wanted to open up a zero waste shop to provide people with quote unquote trendy items, sustainable items, to get people to transition to this lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, we can be hippies that don't use deodorants and shower 4 or 5 times a week or whatever, we call them military showers because we go in for 30 seconds and we're out. But the thing is, just because we do this, it doesn't mean the majority of the population is going to do it. You kind of have to make it trendy, unfortunately, in a way, but also fortunately, because whatever, we just decided to roll with it and inspire as many people as we can. So we're like, you know what? We want to provide people with bamboo utensils, reusable cutlery to bring with them when they go to cafes and restaurants. So, for example, when we go to cafes and smoothie bowl places, we bring our own coconut bowls that we have, which is also part of the sustainable duo shop. Coconuts, they're one of the biggest wasted plants because the husks are usually just thrown out. So we partner with this woman who turns them into bowls. And so we bring those with us when we go to cafes and smoothie bowls, and we have them use the coconut bowl instead of plastic bowls. And then we bring our bamboo utensils and eat it like that. And it's so funny because when we go, people are like, oh my gosh, that's genius. Like, that is so cool. I've never seen that, and their eyes really on it. And we're like, yeah, listen, we're just trying not to use single-use plastic. And this way, we could take really cool pictures with it. And people love that. They love anything that's good for a picture. So we're like, it's great for pictures. It's good for decoration. It's really sustainable. So you don't have to use single-use plastic. And, people love the idea. And it's all habitual too. What we're trying to teach people is, when we leave our house, we think, got our keys, got our wallet, do we have our sustainable items that we need throughout the day to avoid single-use plastic? Yeah? Okay, then we'll leave our house. So it's all about preparation, and then you kind of get in the habit, and you kind of like a little game at this point, like, how little waste can we have today? And that's really our lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. You guys had also shared about one simple tip when you go to the grocery store is to not ask for the receipt. I personally actually started doing that. And at my local grocery store, the cashier was like, wow, I've never had anybody do that before. And so it's just like, you're talking about, it's like a ripple effect, and then I was telling the person next to me, and like, so if, I would encourage, even that being a step, and then the coconut. So not having printed paper.
It really is a ripple effect. I think that's like the perfect word to use it because, even if you don't think people are watching, they're watching. And my dad, who, he drank Diet Coke for 30 years, twice a day, definitely addicted to it. And he started watching me on my holistic journey, noticed how I was healing. Then he transitioned to kombucha. And now he cut out Diet Coke completely and he only drinks kombucha. He calls himself the kombucha king. And like, it's so funny. He's like the kombucha advocate. It's so funny. And now he'll go get kombucha on tap and he'll bring his own cup and his own straw. And he's a very talkative man. So he'll just tell everyone, oh yeah, my daughter is a sustainable duo. And he's so proud. He's like, and I got my sustainable straw and my bamboo cutlery. And everyone's like, this 55-year-old man is just so proud of his reusable utensils. Cause really it's so awesome and it's so simple. And I think people feel so good and people are inherently good and they want to save the planet, but it's really just comes down to society, calling that idea of wanting to protect ourselves and the earth. Like there's that stereotype of being a hippie or caring too much or all this stuff. And you really kind of have to break free of that. And Brenda and I are honestly always we tell people, you just got to go beyond fear and never sacrifice your beliefs to make other people comfortable. And you will be so happy. I mean, significantly more happy. And I think that's how we thrive with this lifestyle because we simply don't care if people think that we're, too granola or, we're cheap. We've gotten called cheap so many times. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so proud of spending under $100 decorating my entire apartment. I'm like, I tried spending $0, but it's really about just being resourceful. Consumerism is really just taking over and it's not sustainable. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I would love for you to, you guys had this thing on Instagram. Can you talk about that wedding that you guys did under $25? Can you talk about the details? Because it's really beautiful what you guys explained about everything coming from fruit. And I would just love for you to share that with the audience. Anything?
Yeah. So I did an internship with a company called Florida Edible Landscaping. This woman, Erica, she designs edible gardens and kind of, permaculture, which I was talking about. So I interned for her for I think it was 5 or 6 months. And my final grand finale was to host a zero waste, plant-based vegan mock wedding at one of the edible gardens that she had in the middle of this golf course. Picture that, in the middle of this golf course, there is this thriving, organic, abundant garden. And there's a rose garden, there's a butterfly garden. There's so many monarchs and frogs and all this energy and wildlife. And then there's kale lines, kale beds and cilantro herbs and really anything you can imagine. She had green heirloom corn growing. Like, it was insane.
Wow.
And so when we decided to do the mock wedding, I gathered all of the models and the photographer, and it was funny because the models that were there were vegan or vegetarian, just because it happened. I mean, that's really just how it happened. Subconsciously and consciously, I chose them because, they're just in my group of friends. So it really worked out. And it was cool because we color everything from carpooling to the event to harvesting the vegetables that morning. I got up at like 6 a.m., went to the garden. Erica and I picked everything. She brought it home and cooked it. And really just crafted it with this amazing plant-based chef. And all the dresses that we wore were thrifted. All the makeup people wore was vegan. And then all the decorations that we used were completely really most of them were borrowed. I think I thrifted a couple things, but what I did spend money on was a couple things: the kombucha. And also I made coconut macaroons. So I went to the bulk store and I got like coconut flakes and cacao powder and all this stuff. But I spent altogether, and then also Erica, she rented a tablecloth and napkins. So we didn't buy them. So it was all under $50. Wow. And it was crazy. And I was like, and really, think about how much planning goes into events and planning goes into weddings. So it kind of like took out the excuse that people have, like, oh, I don't have time to do this, and when you plan a wedding, just use that time to like craft it into being sustainable, and you're using the exact same amount of time, if not less, because you're not worried about all these different externalities. But again, that's also easy for me to say because that's just my style, to strive for sustainability and simplicity and minimalism. But it was cool. We had a sign that said, this is your cup for the night. Fill it up with whatever tastes right and like keep it in sight and something like that. And it was cool because everything from the reusable cups to the food, it was just such a wonderful time. And like the feeling that you get after throwing an event like that, knowing that everyone had such a good time and like there was no harm done to the planet. It's indescribable. It really is. And I really honor and appreciate that night because really that was like a really big landmark in my journey.
Oh, I love that because it's beautiful and different, That's just really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
So for those that are listening, so let's say they're like, okay, this is awesome, this living, starting to take steps for zero waste. So just to recap, so a few things that people can do is when they go to the grocery store, they can ask not for the receipt, right? Or maybe to have them email it to them.
Exactly.
Second is the coconut thing, which you guys have on your website, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We have coconut bowls and bags and bamboo utensils. And we also have zero waste survival kits. So for like people wanting to get into this lifestyle, we have kits for them that are already prepared that will help them like get rid of Ziploc bags and reuse this. We have reusable Ziploc bags and a ton of different stuff. We also have like crazy zero waste hygiene products. Like I was talking about like zero waste lip balms and shampoos and all that. So we do provide that as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Can you also talk about, there's this really cool razor that you said I saw it on the website. Yeah. Can you talk about that? That is really cool.
Oh my, okay. So quick story on that. So for the past two holidays with my family, we've had a zero waste Christmas. So we gift each other things like zero waste straws, stainless steel straws, reusable mugs, and we thrift a lot. So most of them are thrifted post-consumer, but there's this one object that I gifted to all my family, and I love it. And it is the stainless steel razor, because for those people who shave, think about all the plastic disposable razors that you've used in your entire lifetime. And really, it's not even, I tell people, don't feel guilty about it, because we're raised to use disposable items. That's just the culture we live in. And, I really stepped back and thought about how many disposable razors I've used. And then the stat that every single razor that I've ever used is still on this planet really got to me. So,
wow.
So that was one of the first swaps I made as going into the zero waste lifestyle. But this stainless steel $20 razor is going to last to me the rest of my life. And it's going to save me. I've actually kind of like transitioned a bit off of shaving just for personal growth reasons. But I did the math when I was shaving consistently, as, young women or all women do. And I was going to save about like $4,000 over my entire life at the rate I was shaving. So for that amount, and it's really crazy to think about how much money that you can save by making the simple swap.
Wow.
So really, it's like a no-brainer, honestly. If you're doing it for selfish reasons, for your wallet, or sustainable reasons for the planet, it really hits every single angle. And that's also another point I want to bring up about living a zero-waste lifestyle. Yes, it's for the planet, but unfortunately, not everyone is going to care as much about the planet as they're going to about, their health, which is totally okay. We all get at this point for different reasons. So there's really no judgment, but I always tell people, if you're not going, sustainable or plant-based for the animals or the environment, do it because you're selfish. Do it because you want the best fuel for your body. You don't want to pollute your home and your body with a bunch of hormone disrupting plastic. So, it's for you at the end of the day, because you and the earth are not separate. You're a being living on this planet. So whatever you distribute to the earth's soil and the water, you're getting in return. So I have to bring up that point. And I think that's what gets a lot of people, their minds going on this journey. But yeah, anyways, back to the razor. For anyone that is interested, we list all the products that we're really passionate about on our website under ethical discounts. The good thing is because I'm on this journey and we vend a lot of vegan festivals, I've met a lot of ethical vegan and zero waste business owners. And so they've partnered up with me and given me discounts for everyone that wants to get in this journey, but maybe can't afford it. So there's a ton of discount codes and cool products on my page.
Yeah, I saw them. It's really, really amazing. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I wanted to jump into, if you don't mind, you guys' other company, Planet Protein. Can you talk about that? How that got started?
So Brendan, when he went vegan after watching the documentary Conspiracy, have you heard of that documentary by chance?
I've never seen it.
It's an intense one. It's not really graphic, but it talks a lot about veganism and the environment. So Brendan, like we talked about, a very intense guy. And when he watched it, he's also very, very stubborn, and he'll tell you all this too. So he watched the documentary, like, I'm vegan. I can't, he saw the information and he couldn't turn a blind eye to it. So he just decided, that's it. That's it for me. So all he knew the next day, he didn't know what to eat, what nutrients he needed, anything. All he knew is that he was never eating anything that came from something that pooped ever again. That's what he says. So he started eating like Cliff Bars and beans and rice. He didn't really know what he was doing. Because I was lucky because I grew up working at a raw vegan juice bar. So I was literally given these tools and recipes and, knew all of these crazy herbs and tinctures to make. But really, a kid from Flint going vegan, he didn't know the first thing about it. So So all I knew was he was going vegan, like I said, eating Clif bars like crazy, and he was getting like really sick, and his joints started kind of feeling strange, and he didn't know if he was detoxing or if he wasn't getting all the right nutrients because he was just kind of eating junk food and like vegan Taco Bell. So he was just kind of frustrated, and he was like, I know I can't go back to eating meat. What's going wrong? And so he just decided diving in to really the ingredients in these vegan products was the next step that he needed, and just figuring out, he found all these products that were vegan and these protein bars from the stores and whatnot, but they all had the craziest ingredients. And I think that's such an important thing to remind ourselves, that just because something's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy.
Exactly.
There's so much junk in some of these products. So Brennan's always been very entrepreneurial. That's just who he is at heart. He just dives into things head on and has no fear. So he was like, he saw that all these vegan protein bars were full of BS, and he was like, I need to make a protein bar that's holistic, that's going to help people on this journey. And like, almost even for a bit of a selfish reason, he's like, I feel sick on my journey. I want to feel good. I want to provide myself with nutrients. I'm going to create something that'll help me, and therefore will help thousands of people that are doing this with me, because veganism, more and more people are going every single day. It's not stopping. So, and obviously, those who know Brennan, he's super passionate about the animals. I mean, he has a huge tattoo on his neck that says no difference, and it's a picture of a cow and a dog. So animals, of course, were a huge reason. But he just started Planet Protein, created 2 vegan protein bars, and one of them's cherry almond fudge, one of them's peanut butter cup, and they're just made of nuts and seeds and dates, so superfoods. And he just launched his first vegan protein powder that him and I and his business partner, Anthony, we all would go to the lab in Miami and do all this taste testing. And a big thing that we wanted to do with this powder was make it sustainable, because again, there's all these vegan protein powders out there, but they're not sustainable. They come in plastic tubs. They come with a plastic scoop, and you're like, okay, what do I even do with this scoop? Do I throw it out? Is it recyclable? Like, I don't even know what it is. So for his protein powder, it comes in a 80% bamboo bag that you can return to Planet Protein, and then we turn it into desks and chairs and tables. And then our goal is to provide for schools in Flint, where Brendan's from, naturally. And then also it comes with a wooden scoop, so you can repurpose it as a coffee scoop if you drink coffee, or you can use it for acai bowls, which is what we use it for because we don't drink coffee. Or you can use it you can even just compost it if you really don't want to use it. But our goal is to really just be morally consistent. And Brendan is an entrepreneurial genius, and he just doesn't take no for an answer. So when he saw a roadblock with, the plastic tubs and the plastic scoops for protein powders, he was like, we're figuring out how to make this sustainable, because the world needs this product. Like, the world needs this holistic protein powder, because again, all the other ones on the market are just so BS. I mean, I personally would get sick eating them. So it's a real bummer, but on a bright note, there are people being innovative and creative and trying to really help this movement be more holistic, because that's really the point. Like, just to eat holistic, connect with nature, eat plants in their truest form.
Wow, that's really amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah. I also read that you guys actually got Wilson Chandler from the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
He's a vegan athlete. Is that correct? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, Brendan met him a couple years ago, and then Brendan started just connecting with him about being vegan and being an athlete. And Wilson actually had his best season being a vegan. So he was breaking all these stereotypes. And they connected because they're both from Michigan too. So that was also something that they had in common. But he decided Wilson Chandler is actually an investor in the company, and Brendan's backed by a lot of people that are really up there. I don't hate, but I don't really resonate with the word celebrity, because I think at the end of the day, we're all talented, and, I don't know. It just seems like you kind of put people on a pedestal in that way. And I'm kind of like, try to live a life like free of pedestals, even though you can honor individuals. But I think that's a whole nother tangent. But we have a lot of people that we work with that are very well known, that are musicians or athletes. They have TV shows, all different types of people. And it's really great to have friends that live similar lifestyles, that have huge platforms, because they love our products. And Brendan is fueling artists that are on tours all over the world and providing them with holistic nutrition. And then they're spreading it with the band and their fans. And it's like, again, it's that ripple effect. Like you said about the receipts, like you just plant these seeds in people's heads and then boom, it just takes off and everyone starts going rapid fire and inspiring each other. And really, I mean, it's so crazy to see like how Brendan's company has like skyrocketed off, but really, I mean, he deserves it. I mean, he is so one of the most fair and ethical people and transparent I've ever met. So I'm really happy for him.
Wow, that's really amazing. Congratulations to both of you. That's really amazing.
Yeah, I'm like a cheerleader, and I help a lot too. But
oh, I'm sure you do. That's amazing. What is one tip you would give to couples out there that maybe want to work together, like in overcoming challenges, or just any sort of advice that you have?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was doing sales for Brendan for quite a bit. I'm not going to say I'm not a good saleswoman, because maybe I am. Like, I don't want to put myself in a box, but I just know that my passion doesn't really resonate with trying to sell someone a product. I prefer just to live it. And then if people want to buy it, sure, but really, and I think this is something important to say, which is a sidetrack kind of, but really, like, we have these products for Sustainable Duo, the bags, the utensils, which are great. But if someone doesn't want them, they can simply, go thrift a reusable bag, or they can just go in their drawer and get, bring a reusable spoon with them to a cafe or a store. Like, you don't have to be like, you don't have to go sustainable and zero waste and vegan and have to purchase all these high-end foods. Like, you can be very resourceful when you do it, and you can save a lot of money doing so. But it's also always amazing to support ethical business owners like me and Brendan, who were supported by that. So we see it both ways, but anyways, back on track. Working with Brendan when I was doing sales, it really didn't resonate with me. Like I said, I'd rather just prefer to live it and like spread my truth that way. So we've definitely found our boundaries and limits working together, and we work with each other in so many ways. Like, I help him develop products and helped him develop the protein powder, and use my expertise of working at a raw vegan juice bar and be like, okay, no natural flavors, no sugar alcohol. We want like completely holistic. And he's very intelligent in that realm too. So we definitely synchronize in that way. And then zero waste, we kind of like brainstormed, okay, like, what can we do? Here are our options, and kind of work in that way. And so we definitely, I have friends that own kombucha companies together as couples, and there's other people that own like a hemp backpack company. They're a couple. So it's definitely possible to work with your partner and enjoy this endeavor. And I think you have to have, again, the Enneagram is just a great resource to go back to. So I realized, okay, if Brenda and I are having a miscommunication, let me go back to this book and realize and let's fix it. But what helps Brenda and I a lot is we're so open and we communicate so fantastic together. So it's almost rare that we have an issue. So I'm very blessed to say that. But again, it kind of is just very simple. Just we simply communicate, and just that alone emits a lot of negative energy and problems from our relationship.
Wow. That's really, really beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. My next question to you is, before you take your last breath, how do you want to be remembered?
It's interesting. That's whoa. I want to be, I think my goal is when people leave my presence, I want them to feel better about themselves. I want them to leave feeling inspired, because that's something that my aunt Sandy had said to me when I was younger. She was like, Carly, my goal in my life is when you leave me, I want you to feel happy. I want you to feel inspired to do something. And I thought, that has stuck with me forever. I mean, what better gift can you give someone rather than the gift of your presence? And then not only that, but really just inspire them to live a more ethical and sustainable and intuitive lifestyle. I really want everyone to take bits and pieces of and again, I'm not perfect by any means. I'm learning every single day of how to be more contemplative. And really, I love, I love, and I don't want to say obsessed, but really my ultimate passion is just really trying to be the most contemplative individual and present individual I can possibly be. And it can get a bit tricky because, obviously I'm on social media. So it's kind of tricky because I'm okay, I'm on social media and I'm posting, which kind of takes me away from my present life. And then also I'm posting for people that are on social media. So when they're watching what I'm doing, it's taking away from their present moment. So it is a bit of a trip. This generation that we're getting into with social media and online businesses. But again, I can't really fight what's happening. But what I can do is inspire people. It's hey, if you're looking at my posts, if you're going to be on social media, just follow people that completely inspire you and kind of force you to think. And I tell people, if you're following me on social media, I'm going to question your beliefs because I question my beliefs every single day. I call myself out all the time. Really, one day I was going to an event that we were speaking at a few months ago, and I was stressing, this was even a couple of years ago, and I was shaving and I was making myself bleed under my arms. Wow. And I was oh my gosh, I was what am I doing? I'm going to speak about, living ethically and loving myself, but here I am hurting my body and shaving my arms for the approval of other people because I don't care if there's hair under there. And that was just one of the examples I called myself out for on social media. I was listen, this is what I just experienced. This is what just happened to me. This just clicked. Here it is. Here's this information. If it resonates with any of you, if it doesn't, and you want to keep shaping, whatever, no judgment. But I love having those connections in my life where I'm and it's kind of that same thing when I went to Nicaragua, I went and I saw the plastic and I was oh my gosh, what am I do? I'm a hypocrite to a certain extent. So really another thing I want people to remember me as is just or just in general for themselves, really one of my goals is just to live morally consistent and not really resonate with the term a hypocrite. I mean, at the end of the day, we do exist on this planet. We automatically accumulate waste. We automatically have a carbon footprint. So at the end of the day, we're all necessarily hypocrites, even though that kind of has a negative connotation, but it's also beautiful because there's always room for improvement. So I know that was a very broad answer.
No, that was great. No.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing. One of the absolutely. Other things that I love that you and Brendan shared about living a minimalist life. And
it's great.
Yeah, it's if it's possible, I'd just like to share something real quick. This past probably 2-3 years, I read this book called I don't know if you've heard of Marie Kondo, The Magic of Keeping Tidy.
No.
She's basically this amazing young woman. She travels all over Japan and she goes overseas, I believe, sometimes. But basically, her whole concept is, living a minimalist life also. And she says very simply, you pick up an item, right? You have an item, and she says, you pick up the item and you ask yourself this one question: does it bring me joy? And the point of that is why would you want to be around things that don't bring you joy? And I have to say, I followed every single step in her system. And I have to say, now I look at my room because I wanted to be in an environment that was beautiful, right?
Right.
And peaceful. And it's really just shifted so much internally in my life, And now I get to meet awesome people like you, Johnny Juicer. I met Fully Raw Christina last year. I actually just interviewed her also. And it's just, I just share that with the audience because, you guys are a really amazing example of that also, So Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up. Does it bring me joy? Because it's a funny law of attraction story. I love this story. So Brendan and I, about a year into our zero waste journey, we traveled to Portland to give a zero waste talk. And when we came back to Florida, and mind you, we were already living in our heads pretty minimally at this point. And compared to the average American, oh my gosh, we lived so simply. And we came home and everything was covered in mold. Whoa. And we were like, what happened? And our AC went out. We came home to black mold everywhere. I mean, Brendan's shoes looked like cotton candy. It was crazy. Whoa. So we were like, oh my gosh. And so we had to throw out and probably 97% of the stuff we owned. Okay. And so it stunk because we couldn't donate it or anything because it was contaminated. But, it was really a crazy experience because we had to sort through everything and just put it in bags and throw it away and kind of say goodbye to all of those things. And I thought it was like the universe being like, oh, you're going to give a talk on zero waste and minimalism. Well, here you go, And it's funny because everyone was like, I am so sorry that happened to you. And everyone that really, really knows me, my good friends, they knew I was the happiest person. I was like, why are you saying sorry to me? Do you know how great this is? I can live out of my car. I was like, everything I own fits in the back of my car. And I actually just sold that car because Brenda and I share a car now. But oh my gosh, it was so funny. I mean, I always say too that nothing looks as good as being a minimal feels. It feels so freeing. I feel like I have so much time for other activities. And my idea of decorations, I mean, as you see behind me, plants, I want things. Do these things bring me joy? Yes. And they also bring me oxygen and they clean my air and they provide me with food because most of those plants are edible on my wall inside. So really, I think that nature is the most beautiful decoration. And even if you don't really, if you want to have objects and decorate your home and maybe not have it be minimal, you can at least do it by go thrifting and do post-consumer, or we use a lot of apps called OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, and people post their secondhand merchandise is on there and you can barter and buy them. Or there's a really great app that just came out called Bunz, Bunz, and it's a trading app. So you could be post something let's say someone down the street from me posts a hammock they don't want, and I'm like, hey, do you want to trade some of my houseplants for your hammock? And they're like, sure, and there's no money involved. So this lifestyle, it's very minimal, and not only is it minimal physically, but with currency, we save so much money living this lifestyle, and I've never been happier in my life. I mean, it's pretty transparent. Those who know me know, I just thrive off of conversation and deep, meaningful people rather than, the things that I used to find fun. And it's not even I feel like I'm missing out on going out to a bar or, going shopping. I mean, now I kind of observe people doing those things, and I try not to judge, but it's just really interesting that people find so much joy in all of these things that are either substances that are depressants, or they're just outlets to get that split second feeling of joy after you purchase something for, a purse for $100 or whatever it may be. These are only temporary things. And it's taking you away from the present moment and an intuitive inner experience. And that's what I'm also about. Just really diving deep into my inner being in my subconscious mind and just trying to heal that way. It's really one of my biggest passions. Like I said, just coming back to contemplative living. And that's really what minimalism is. It's just contemplative living.
Oh, I love that. And everything you're talking about, it's energy, because everything's energy, right? Would you agree? It's
absolutely.
When you don't have all this stuff, and again, no judgment to people that have stuff, but I mean, personally, in my experience, when I got rid of all this stuff, it really was cluttering my mind, and as a lot of that just started to just drift off, I was able to be more creative, and it'll change anyone's life for sure. For sure. Every person has to experience it on their own in their own journey, but I know you know what I'm talking about. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like when, I used to protest a lot for animal rights, and the moment, I totally honor my friends that do that. I have a lot of good friends that are big activists, but for me personally, it was deteriorating me. I was coming home. I was pissed. I was like, what are all these people doing? I would go home. My mom was cooking, and this was back when I was in high school. So my mom would be cooking chicken, and I would be like, are you serious, Mom? You knew that I woke up at 3 a.m. and I went to a chicken and pig slaughterhouse and protested, and you're cooking this? And I was just angry. And then the moment I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm really deteriorating my mind, deteriorating my body. Like, I have so much judgment and anger. Literally, the moment that I decided to do that was when my mom went vegan, my brother went vegan, all these people, because they saw me change and they saw me start to be happy and like just lead by example and do my own thing. And they're like watching from a distance, like, what is she doing? Like, what's different? Why is she so happy? Like, I want to be happy. Like, what's the secret? And I'm like, I don't know, plants and just like living ethically and just doing your own thing and like not caring what other people think. I mean, it's really so many things that are really so simple. So, but like you said, like you can't, and I like, just to tie it back, like you can't really preach to people because some people are just going to shut down just psychologically. It's just how humans are. So rather than pushing your beliefs on other people, like you need to be minimal, you need to stop eating this, you need to start doing this, there's no point. You just have to let people experience their journey and just like be the best human you can be, and your energy will spread to them. It's the law of attraction. It's just how it is. And once you believe that and kind of figure it out, you're like, I deserve to be happy 24/7, and I'm in complete control of that. So if I'm not happy, that's my own issue. It's nothing else. It's no one else around me. It's my own issue. So I always come back to that, just knowing that I'm always 100% in control.
Wow. That was so beautifully said. Thank you so much. That actually transitions into my next question I have. Yeah. What does happiness from within mean to you?
Totally. I mean, I believe that we are mirrors. And I think when someone said that to me like a couple of years ago, I didn't really know what they were talking about. I was like, what do you mean? And then I started getting more into meditation, and it kind of just clicked for me in one meditation, like just realizing that everything I experience outside of my body is just a reflection within me. So if I see someone and, they do something that irritates me, it all comes back to me, and I'm like, why does that irritate me? Okay. Do I really need to put energy into making that to make me angry? Like, do I really need, it's just all these things happen on the outside of us. Like I was saying, we have the choice to be happy and like not have anything impact us, whether it be someone cutting you off on the highway or someone being rude to you at a cafe or someone spilling water on you. I mean, these are all just like experiences. And sometimes you kind of have to step out of your body and observe like, okay, what's happening? What am I feeling? Okay, I honor that feeling, but I also understand that I can be happy and like turn this into a really positive experience. Because I mean, every situation has the opportunity to be positive. And like, that's a very hard concept. And it's, for me, like, it's definitely easier said than done. Sure. Learning to like, again, using that word, like to manipulate your mind and like rewire and be like, okay, how is this serving me? What is this teaching me? Like all of this stuff. And, I kind of take that, like, for example, when I was getting into this journey, when I was 15 years old, I got really obsessive with clean eating. I was like very overwhelmed because I was learning all this information so young, and I was like animal agriculture and pesticides and chemtrails and GMOs, and I was like literally just eating raw broccoli. So I was like, this is, and I developed like orthorexia, an intense eating disorder, and I lost probably 40 pounds. Wow. And I was this young girl, lost 3/4 of my hair because it just started falling out. Wow. And my eyelashes started falling out. my eyebrows started falling out. And during that time, I really was hanging out with my boss, and she was teaching me a lot about meditation. And because she was in a hard position because she knew what I was doing, but she had to trust my journey and trust that I would figure it out, which I really honored because she cared about me, but she also knew that I had to figure it out for myself. And that's also a very important lesson too that I won't get into. Well, basically I try to like never tell people what to do. Cause that would be me not trusting their journey. I can only offer, how I live my life and how it resonates with me. So anyways, that's a side note, but getting back to the eating disorder, that experience of losing my hair and losing like something that society deems to be so beautiful, it really taught me that, there's something so much greater than myself. Like, and I could have no hair and no eyebrows and no eyelashes and no whatever and still maintain happiness. And it was a real struggle trying to maintain happiness being in high school. Everyone's going to prom. Everyone's ready for, all these events. And I'm sitting there in math class with hair just falling out of my head. So it was,
wow.
And this is interesting. Actually, I've never talked about this on a podcast. So this is really a really special, podcast for me. I really appreciate being here, by the way. But, that experience, I turned into something so positive, and I would not be where I am today without that experience. Simply said it. It taught me, just that this is just our physical being, and our society makes it this object that we have to transform into this idea. And that experience got me away from that. Again, I literally had an out of body experience and observed what was happening to me. And I was like, Carly, shake out of it. You are totally more than what is happening to you right now. And that way I was able to nurture my body, nurture my mind, really to get back to, okay, why am I going vegan? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to correct and get back on track and evolve? And really that whole process helped me expand and evolve and learn how to do things right. And ultimately it was just a really positive lesson. So for anyone that struggles with eating disorders when going vegan, I mean, I get it. And it's almost inevitable, I feel at some point, to not overthink food because we're thrown all of these GMOs and natural flavors, sugar alcohols, all these crazy ingredients. And it's almost like a crazy thing that we have to read food labels to make sure that they are not going to harm us. That's really insane to think about. So again, for anyone experiencing it, I totally understand. But again, you just have to be mature with it and come from a place of okay, I'm learning all this stuff. It's really difficult, and just learning about the food system, it's kind of terrifying, but you just have to do the best of what we're given and just try to be better 1% every single day. But it's a whole process. The whole process is a big, big meditation to a certain extent.
Wow, Carly, I just really want to thank you for my heart tears. Thank you for opening up and sharing that. I have no doubt that your story is going to inspire thousands of people. So thank you, because the eating disorders, which, as I know, there's a lot of young women that really struggle with that.
Absolutely.
A lot of women. So thank you again for sharing that.
Of course.
And my last question that I have for you, actually, there's two questions. At the event, you were talking about this really cool thing to do with the banana peels, about putting it in the soil, the worms. Can you talk about that? Because I was so blown away when you guys talked about that, and I really think it can bring a lot of value to people.
Yeah. So whenever Brenda and we juice a lot. So we always have leftover peels. And the pulp, that's extracted from the juicer, we'll dehydrate it and turn it into crackers, put some avocado on it and eat it, And then for the peels, instead of buying face serums and all these fancy dancy products, I'll put the peels on my face and use them as exfoliants. And then when I'm done with that, I'll compost them into the soil. So compost is essentially, it's, in basic terms, it's taking green material, which would be like, peels, and then brown material, which would be like hay and, dried leaves, things that are brown, and mixing them together and creating a ratio that you put those things together in your backyard in a compost pile, and then you take a shovel and you toss them all together, mix them, and then it's going to decompose into really rich soil that is going to provide amazing nutrients for Earth's creatures. Like worms love compost, and they break it down and then they poop in it, and then it creates amazing fertilizer for veggies and produce, fruits, herbs, all this stuff that you can use in your own garden. And so for me, one of the most important things I tell people too is like, if you're going to be eating this plant-based diet, like you're going to have orange peels, lemon peels. And if you throw those things out, they're just going straight to the landfill. They don't have the opportunity to break down back into the earth's soil. And they're just in the landfill giving off methane and greenhouse gases. And it does have a negative impact on the environment. So I always tell people that simply just creating a compost in your backyard, or even if you don't have a compost, there's compost bins you can get for inside your apartment that do not smell. And I've used them before and they're great. You can even make your own too. There's a ton of YouTube tutorials if you want to do a do-it-yourself project and save money. So yeah, just composting and giving those nutrients back to the earth. It's just something that's so basic that we've been doing for thousands of years, but we've totally become so distant from that just because of society. So
wow. Yeah, you guys also had talked about you could also give that compost to like a local garden, which I really liked that idea.
Absolutely. Or just giving it to an animal sanctuary. I mean, the animals love compost. So our friends have a sanctuary locally. So the chickens love compost. They love it feed, and it's free food. So it's not like, then our friend can focus on rescuing animals rather than trying to scrape up money to feed the animals, and we all have compost. We all have the opportunity to feed so many of these sanctuary animals through the grocery bills that we already have.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have to put some links below or something for that. So Carly, where can people find you guys?
The best place to find us is our joint account on social media. On Instagram is Sustainable Duo. And then our website is sustainableduo.com. My personal Instagram is Carly, Carly _Bergman. And then Brendan, his profile is The Sustainable CEO.
And then for the plant protein bars, what's the website for that?
planetprotein.com. And then his social media for that is Planet Protein.
Okay, great. Wow. I'm just so blown away. I'm just so honored to have this interview with you. And I just wanted to ask if there's anything. Actually, there's a question that I forgot. See, I get so excited. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Going beyond fear. I think every single day, like, that is really my goal, to go beyond fear and like unconditioned from everything I've been taught, and like I was raised, I love my mom. She's a great woman, but really I was taught to be a people pleaser and like be on good terms with everyone. And like, just, I have a really guilty conscience, and I was raised to really care about what other people thought of me.
Sure.
And really lately, like, my goal is to release that and like just be, just define my own truth without any others' expectations of me. And and I think the best way to do that is just, for me, going beyond fear. So that's who I am, for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. And you guys as a couple, how would you guys describe yourself as a couple in 3 words?
Oh, wow. Let's see. That's a really good one. I think I have to go back to the words, like maybe living our truths, or living morally consistent. I mean, really everything we try to do is just like, is it in alignment with our beliefs? And really everything we do comes back to the question, is it in alignment? Like, does it align with us? And because we're so in tune with our morals, like it's life is so simple. Like it really is. Like we're just trying to show people how to go back to the basics. Nothing we're doing is like super, super cool. Like really all we're doing is going back to the basics of how humans should live and like trying to bring people back to that. And it just comes back to like living your truth and like living like the truth of like experiencing life on this earth and coming back to the land and giving thanks. And gosh, I mean, really just getting out of this consumerism, fast-paced mindset. I think we're trained to like be always on the go and be better than the person next to us. And we're trying to bring people back to community. I think that's one of my latest passions too. Just like really, I'm trying to, when we move, whether it be to California or Oregon, somewhere on the West Coast, we want to live in like a village or a community and somewhere where you're around people that are like-minded, because this whole experience too is just to be communal. It's not to be in these boxes separated from each other. Like we're supposed to be with other people and, share the love and just help each other out.
Absolutely. Wow. That's beautifully said. Yeah, just any last thing that you would love to share with the world to bring value before we end?
Yeah, I'd say whenever I do podcasts, I always finish off like, always come back to never compromising your beliefs to make other people comfortable. And I think whether that means like you lose some friends along the way, you lose some family along the way, like, do whatever resonates with you. And, just don't sacrifice your happiness because you want to please other people. And I say this during every podcast because it's really just engraving it back in my head too. Again, I'm not perfect, but I do try, like I'm learning every single day. And the more I live my truth and like just experience things for myself, the happier I am. So really, it's not, people ask like, what's the key to happiness? And it's not that nice sports car. It's not that fancy watch or, it's not even that crazy infrared vegan sauna health biohacker. It really just comes back to your mental state and how you view yourself. And if you're living in tune and the people and energy you're surrounding yourself with. Wow. That's amazing. Well, Carly, I just really want to thank you from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for this amazing interview. It's such a pleasure to have you on Happiness from Within. And I look forward to seeing you at another vegan festival. Are you guys going to come to California? There's going to be a vegan festival the 23rd and 24th of March. I think, is that Eat Drink Vegan?
I believe so. It's going to be in North Hollywood.
Okay, our friend Jeanette, I think she runs Eat Drink Vegan. I'm pretty sure that's the festival. But we're actually going to be back in August, which you should totally come to this event. We're speaking at an event called Meeting of the Minds, and it's a whole event of people, talking anything from veganism to conspiracy theories like flat earth or, all that jazz. So, last time we spoke at this event, we spoke with people like David Wolf and our friend Ryan, who runs an account called Stand Up 9/11. And he had hosted the event in Canada. So it's a really mind-opening event in a great way. Just have like non-judgmental conversations and just to be open to talking about really anything that people believe in. And I left with so much value. So yeah, Meeting of the Mind. It's going to be in LA and more information is going to be coming out about that in the next couple of months.
That's so awesome. Well, I look forward to it, and I look forward to continuing to connect with you guys on social media. And again, thank you so much. And I just wish you a beautiful night. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Yeah. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, well that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me today on episode 8 of Happiness from Within. It really means the world. If you received any value from today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you can please jump on to iTunes or whichever platform you're on and just take a few seconds to please leave a comment. It really helps to spread the message of happiness from within. And I also have a free PDF for you guys, 7 steps to finding your happiness now. You can find the details below. I'm really confident it's going to bring you a lot of value and help you to start finding that happiness from within. And wherever you are in the world, I just wish you the most beautiful day, and I'll catch you guys on the next interview. Have a wonderful day.